na TV so akasa na de hwe beba
metia kan ne say akromfo benso na ekoyi kromfo panyini and no nyina ko debate bibia no obetire be free mu aba
the ebe free debate mo the ent means sawadwe
oh no because promise a woman bibia no ma change your mind no bibia no.
As the argument for or against the presidential debate rages on, the last organizers of the 2012 presidential debates, the Institute of Economic Affairs, have indicated that they will soon announce a date for the 2024 presidential debate. However, leading members of the National Democratic Congress have indicated that their flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, won't be partaking in this debate because it is not necessary. Reporting for ABC News Ghana, Samuel Nyimabo, Accra.
Joining us via phone is political strategist and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Kobe Mensah, to have a discussion on this issue. Thank you, Prof, for joining us tonight. Hello, Prof. Prof, can you hear me? If you can hear me, do you agree with those calling for a presidential debate for the candidates in the 2024 elections? Hello, Prof. We seem to have technical challenges in getting to Prof. Let's move on to these have been awarded 1 million cedis each as beneficiaries of the pilot SME Growth and Opportunity Program. The companies include Tiovana Limited, Tila Limited, Abubakari Mahama Company Limited, Sahara Liquor. Earlier today, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo launched the SME Growth and Opportunity Program. Addressing the summit, the president said that government will support the Ghana Exim Bank with 700 million Ghana cedis to offer SMEs with highly subsidized financial support. He further said that the Ministry of Finance has mobilized 8.2 billion Ghana cedis to disburse to SMEs under the SME Go program.
Ghana Exim Bank will be supported with some 700 million cedis to offer SMEs highly subsidized financial support for both capital and operating expenditures and offer capacity building to program beneficiaries. Ghana Exim Bank will be supported with some 700 million cedis to offer SMEs highly subsidized financial support for both capital and operating expenditures and offer capacity building to program beneficiaries. GEA, on the other hand, will be supported with some 230 million cedis and will target high-growth SMEs employing 100 persons or more with small-scale grants. The Ministry of Finance has successfully mobilized a total.
Well, let's go back to our earlier conversation. Joining me via phone is political strategist and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Thank you, Professor, for joining us, Professor Kobe Mensah. Hello, Prof. Prof, can you hear me, sir? Prof, if you can hear me, do you agree with those calling for a presidential debate for the candidates in the 2024 elections?
Well, I can hear you. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by agree, because if you have actually checked the history of the presidential debate, you would find that, at each point of the time, the political parties have chosen or not chosen to debate. On record, you have, since 2016, any of the, not even that, from I think 2012 and 2016, You have the political parties, either agreeing or disagreeing to debate. I mean, I'm sure you can tell the last time we had a presidential debate, and you can tell, why we haven't actually had it for so long time. I'm sure that if you look at the records, it will tell you that in one way or the other, a political party had agreed or had actually called for a debate, and on the other hand, another had actually said that they would not actually debate. You have had, so-called political pundits who have actually, on a number of occasions, said that there can't be a debate. There had been a tape, I don't know whether you have actually cited that tape, that Kokubako actually said on one of the radio stations that if you go and stand on a mountaintop to actually scream that there must be a debate, or you call for a debate, that is absolutely the road to no debate. And so I am not sure on what premise you're asking whether I agree or not. I would have my personal opinions, but the question has to be that, looking at the circumstances, looking at the conditions, would the political parties agree to a debate? And the answer is no, because they have bastardized that particular exercise. On occasion, the political parties have bastardized it. And as I said, depending on who's on the higher grounds and who's on the back foot, they call or do not call for a debate. Again, if you look at the institutional conditions, increasingly the institution that actually had been at the center of presidential debate has itself discredited that particular process, because we've seen a number of concerns, a number of issues that suggest that candidates, one way or the other, had been exposed to the debate questions prior to the debate. People had those concerns. Since the debate, the last debate, we have had these institutions actually having issues in the public, with the public opinion about them has changed. And so if you are calling for a debate, who is the institution, or which institution that is actually going to moderate this particular debate, and how credible, or in the eyes of the people, how perceived credibility or perceived credible would they be in the eyes of the people who are actually going to perhaps consume this debate? These are some of the issues. And that's why I particularly disagree that there has to be a debate, because in the first place, we do not even, think that the debate is credible. We do not see the stakeholders as, credible enough, to organize, the debate.
Prof, should there be a debate among the presidential candidates? What are some of the requirements you think should be?
When you call for a debate, you're actually looking at a very highly independent, credible institution to actually say that, yes, we're going to actually organize it. You're supposed to see an equal playing field, i.e., a fair representation for all the political parties who are actually participating in the elections. You're supposed to actually see, those who actually moderate in the debate as fairly independent. And as what independent means is not my, responsibility to determine. But of course, those who are actually agreeing to the debate would define who could be considered as an independent, moderator to ensure that that debate actually comes on. And then, of course, you're going to actually look at, a certain, equal coverage or equal opportunity, for those debating to actually present their case to the general public. So I think that it is becoming much more difficult for this particular exercise to happen, because almost everybody in this country, as people would actually argue, had in one way or the other been deliberately tainted by the political parties themselves, or themselves had been part of the political process, either in the past or in current situation. So it is very difficult for you to actually establish these conditions before the debate happens.
There are those calling for a debate moderated by citizens who can ask tough questions. What do you make of that?
How many citizens are going to be in the room? That's another question. I mean, of course, we can go on the line of what in England they call the the big question where you have, a question time, I think it is, where you have, a certain entry where you have to register to enter. But the practice of this country, immediately you put such a link there, the political parties are going to share among their members and ask them to go and register, in order that they can have their own members, very much fill the room to their advantage. So again, how are you going to moderate that? And I keep saying that the political parties and the associates have bastardized almost every process, even including polling. Immediately you conduct a poll and you put a link there, they're going to put it on their platforms and ask their members to go and fill the poll. So you end up having a poll that's highly skewed. So it becomes so difficult to ensure a certain clean, fairer, independent process. I would want to see the presidential parties, the presidential candidates, subject themselves to media scrutiny. We just had one. The ex-president just organized, a meet the press, and I'm sure that in the minds of most people, that was very, very, rigorous enough. And so the presidential candidates must subject themselves to a certain media scrutiny. And then maybe after, we can also follow suit, whether you would do a town hall or you would do any other exercise that would allow citizens to actually, ask questions. But if we're looking at very critical, rigorous process, I think that the Meet the Press actually served its purpose. And I'm thinking that the presidential candidates should actually submit themselves to that process.
Prof, with respect to the independent presidential candidates, do you think they should be given a different platform, or they should be they should be merged with the frontliners?
No, of course. Are they being voted by different people? That would be unfair for us to say that they should have a different platform. A big platform must be given to everybody, and that includes them and the party candidates. I don't subscribe to isolating them or segregating them. That's an unfair practice. We need to give equal representation, and that means that both independent, smaller parties, smaller parties, independent, and big parties, all of them must have access to one platform so that the entire country can actually listen to them.
All right, thank you, Prof. But before I let you go, what are your final submissions on this issue?
I think that our political parties should stop this practice of calling for debate when they are losing or when they're on the back foot, and then rejecting the debate when they think they're actually in a strong position. That is what has actually bastardized this process. If we want to ensure that we have a very rigorous, robust democracy, it does not matter whether you are at the back foot or you are on a strong foot. You must subject yourself. But of course, they bastardized it. We must find other ways of making sure that we can bring back some sanity in political discourse.
Thank you, Prof, for joining us tonight. So that is Professor Kobi Mensah. He's a political strategist and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. We'll be back with more stories after this break.
You can advertise your brand. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030 You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645 or You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278-8645. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television. Call us on 030-278. You can advertise your brand or business on ABC News GH Television.
Moving on, prices of fuel across the country has increased at the pump as the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, predicted yesterday, Monday, 15th July. According to COPEC, indications on all petrol, diesel and LPG will increase today, which it has. Took to the streets of Accra to seek the consent of a taxi driver and the challenge this new price poses to him. Meanwhile, in a statement dated Sunday, July 14, Duncan Amwa, Executive Secretary of COPEC, attributed the potential increase to the further depreciation of the cedi relative to the dollar rate. Getting further understanding of this, and we have on the line Industrial Relations Officer for GPRTU, Abbas Imuru. Thank you, Abbas, for joining us.
Thank you for calling.
So, Abbas, will they consider any increment of transport fares in the wake of increase in fuel prices?
Not now. Not now. They should even inform the general public that one of the accusations they always level against us is not true. No, each time we come out with an upward adjustment in lorry fares, then they say, here they come. And time fuel prices are being increased, then they change the lorry fares. We've been saying it is not true. They should take note of this in particular. It is not true that each time fuel prices are being increased, and we change lorry fares. No. We have 10% threshold, but normally we even wait about 25-30% before we adjust ourselves to any upward adjustment in lorry fares. So, although it has affected us, we will plead with those in authority to have a second look at some of the taxes and margins and do something about it for us, because if they're able to take some out, it could reduce the fuel prices for us automatically.
Well, in the wake of increments of prices, do you think you would have further issues with passengers?
Come again with your question.
In case there are some increment in prices, do you think in transport fares, do you think they will have issues?
Each time we come out with any upward adjustment, we justify the reasons why. So if in case we are going to do that, we will be in a very good position to justify why we are increasing. But we never thought of that. We never spoke about that also. We are just saying, yes, it will affect our business because each time fuel prices are being increased, meaning the normal fuel that we've been buying at the end of the hard day's work, we have to look for some money elsewhere, top that money up before we'll be in a very good position to get the normal fuel that we are supposed to buy. Or it will decline if at the end of the day you fill your tank with 10 gallons, you are no longer in that position to buy that 10 gallons. So this is the situation. Each time the increase, it affects our activities.
Well, how will the increments affect drivers if you are still going to maintain the same charges?
That is why I said we have been sacrificing most of the time. Most of the time we've been sacrificing. And as I said earlier on, we dwell on the 10% threshold, of which we even normally allow the threshold to grow more than the 10%. So although it will affect us, we'll manage otherwise.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Abbas. So that is Mr. Abbas, the Industrial Relations Officer for GPR, Abbas Imoro. Let's take a recap of our top stories. Government withdraws road traffic ally bill after for minority, and also Interior Minister Des to provide proof of any secret recruitment into security services. Fuel prices shoot up today as some Ghanaians lament on the consequences. That is all for the bulletin tonight. I am Jennifer Sumwa. Thank you for staying with us. Good evening.